everybody, Scott's Montana Adventures, coming to you from my office today with a project that I'm going to be doing on the ZForce 800 CF Moto. These engineers and professionals at the manufacturers know what they're doing. I get that. They know what's going on. But there is what I feel is a design flaw in the air intake system of the CF Moto. In the pictures that are going to come up, and you'll see what I'm talking about, they've got the air intake between the two seats back behind the back panel, covered with a nylon sock, and then it comes through down into the air box, which is located back just forward of the right rear wheel, and that's where the air filter itself is. Now I have put a new style unifilter in there, but the factory one, after I drove several miles last summer in dirt roads behind people, dirt everywhere, dust everywhere, very dusty. We had to wear gaiters, in fact. After I got back and I took that filter out, it was absolutely congested with dust. The other problem is that the air is drawn in from between the two seats through a vent, and then it goes up into the intake that has a nylon mesh bag covering the hole on the backside. So all that air comes in through the cabin, dust, etc., sucks it right down into the filter. I want to change that because I think it's a design flaw that needs to be addressed. The other issue is there's a massive amount of heat coming from the motor right there. So I'd like to get cooler air to the intake rather than having it heated up by the heat of the engine. So this project's going to be a little modification that I'm making to that, so that engines operate on air, fuel, and electricity. The battery provides the electricity. You got timing and ignition issues and things like that going on, but they got to have air in and they got to have air out, which is exhaust. The cooler the air coming into the motor, the better the motor breathes and the better the motor runs. So the amount of heat coming behind that panel, I've got issues with coming into the cabin because it's hot in the summer, and the air being heated up by the engine heat is the other issue. So I'm going to address those issues in this video and show you how I modify this to hopefully cure the problem of these filters getting so filthy. I'm basically installing a pre-filter, and then the lower filter should be cleaned once a year or so. I'll test it and see as the months go by, but I'll be able to see what kind of air or dust we're getting visually instead of having to take it all apart. So stay with me. Scott's Montana Adventures. Sometimes we have to take care of our equipment in order to get out, be safe, and get back. And preventive maintenance, regular servicing is important, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So stand by, Scott's Montana Adventures. I hope you like it. Subscribe, ring the blue bell, and we'll keep doing them. Thanks. Okay, so you see I have the seats out. I have the there's a console that goes right here. I have that removed, and I've taken the air cleaner duct. It normally sucks air from back in here down into that hole that I'm pointing to right there. Okay, so I'll show you what that duct looks like when it's back on. But what you get is all this heat right here, and the air is coming in right up here from the back side of this ambient air. So I want to get that air so it's coming from out here in this area, so it's not heated by the motor, which is right here. Plus all that heat comes right into the cabin. So this video is all about trying to stop the heat and get fresh air into the motor. Okay, so you can see I have put this air duct back in. This was normally flat, closed off, and there was a sock. I'll show you the sock. This is the little sock that was over it. That's all they had for the upper air intake filter. Just a nylon sock. I don't think that's a good plan. So I got rid of the sock. I've taken the duct, I call it, fresh air intake, and I've closed off the back hole where the sock used to cover and let the air in. And I have fastened 1.5 inch PVC, used a 1 7/8 Forstner bit to cut the hole, and then I reamed out the hole in this edge, and then I got a straight piece of 1.5, fits perfectly in the hole,
and then a 90. And then from the 90, I'll show you what I did. Okay, so this is the original filter that was down in the air box forward of the right rear wheel. That has been replaced with a uni filter, which is, they said, a lot better design for down there. And then I'm going to run this filter right here between the two seats. After I manufactured this whole process, this will go on, and then there's a cover that goes in this area here, slips over, and I'm going to cover that up with some magnetic covers that I can take off if I want heat, put back on when I don't want heat. But the air is not going to be so overheated now, because it'll be drawing colder air from out here in this area. So that's what I'm going to try to do. This is where I'm at so far. Everything's back in place, and I'll put the interior back together and show you what it looked like, and then we'll go from there. But I'm hoping that the engine will get cooler air this way, rather than route it completely from outside somewhere with a bunch of elbows and PVC. I think it'll get better air, and if nothing else, I can service it a lot faster. So I'll get back with you. Okay, I want to show you these push pins. They are just plastic pins, but they come off in two pieces, and you push this piece in like so. Push it in. Okay, that's how they're in. You can take them out by putting a screwdriver in that slot and the other slot here and pushing them out evenly. And they're reusable. And then the rest of the stuff has got some screws. So you can see I'm putting the center console back in. It's very simple. Okay, so as you can see, I have the right seat in. I have the console all back together, and you can see what I'm talking about. All this heat comes right out of here, which in the winter is not such a bad thing. So what I've done is built a cover that will go over, and magnets will go on the back side, and it will magnetize and cover that heat in the summer. So that's what I've done, and I'll show you now what it looks like. With the filter. I don't have it pushed on there, but so it's out of the way, getting fresh air. The pictures that I've done in the video I'll narrate so you can see how I made the thing, but I think it's going to provide fresher air and easier to clean filters, keep the motor clean, and I think it's going to do a better job of keeping heat out of the cockpit in the summer. So well, there you have it. It performed very well. I could tell it was breathing well. I drove it
5 or 8 miles or so, 60, 65 miles an hour. It's getting good air. I can tell if the filter's getting dirty. I can clean it easily. And it worked very well. I could tell it was a little quieter in the cabin as well, which is a bonus. It did block some of that heat coming out, and the engine's getting good air. So I think it was a success. Let me add one more thing to this. The filter that I used is the original filter that came on the CF Moto. So it has a 2.5 inch or 2.25 inch inside diameter, which is exactly what that 90-degree PVC pipe has. So it slides right over there. Might as well reuse it. And then I replaced the factory foam with some black foam. Went down to the fabric store, got some black foam, cut it, glued it up, and it matches better. And that's it. Good project, worked well. Talk to you later.